Hello! So I've been spinning my wheels, at least in part because I hate this time of year, so because I can't manage to start a proper project, let's be really responsible and do some mending, huh? White blanket has reached that really wonderful time of life where the fabric just starts dissolving. There's multiple places, but this is the worst, and I can't wash the thing until I make it so the stuffing won't fall out. So, dun dun! Got that at the bins. I was excited about it. I got it home, I washed it, I tried it on, I realized I hated it. And so we are going to go right now and take some scissors and get all the buttons off and reduce this to usable rectangles for patching purposes. Very exciting video. Why are certain bedding fabrics so difficult to stitch through? Anyway, I got 10 square rectangles out of that shirt and put all of the various leftovers in their respective containers for future use. And now I'm just sewing things down. This is, it turns out, stripes printed on a thin white denim, and so I gave myself permission to be lazy and let the edges fray, because I think that'll be a cool texture. Bad rabbit, stop that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, letting it fray, which is why I'm doing 2 rows of stitching around so it can't fray past both of the rows anyway. Also, I realized that most of the damage to the comforter is on the edges. Don't know why, but that means that I took most of the patches and sewed them over the edge like that, and that way I get to fix holes on both sides of the edges with one patch. Yay! So, get this sorted, get it washed, and that will make the edges fray, and then we can see what it looks like together. Aww, do I get kisses? Firefly, what are you doing? Opal kisses. Firefly. Oh, you sweet little baby. While that's in the dryer, winter blanket has continued to shred. I'm glad that was such a big patch. Anyway, I'm gonna sit in bed and deal with this. So here is a plastic skirt I got at the Goodwill bins that I'm gonna cut up and use as a dark purple patch, since that's the theme for this one. The zipper's nice though. I'll have to save that zipper. So, the smaller one's over there, the bigger one's over here, and apparently I just need to keeping an eye out for purple whimsy goth sort of fabric, because it is my destiny to hand patch this entire king-size comforter. And then this one, which didn't fray as much as expected, but honestly feels really cozy. I did put that, I don't know, dirt colored, sand colored. Ooh, that's what we'll do. Pales, pale blues, pale browns. After these stripes, we'll move to pale blues and pale browns, and it'll be kind of beachy. Yeah? Long-term plan. I don't think this one will get holes in it nearly as fast as this one will. Last practical thing, because I have an idea for something new to make, but this has a hole in it. It is a skirt, and I have an idea. Might be onto something here. So symmetry is hard, right? And there's a hole because a bunny bit a hole. So I thought if I took a piece of very thin fabric and folded it in half, little scrap fabric, and cut out a butterfly shape, then it would at least be a symmetrical butterfly shape, yeah? And I guess I need to make up my mind about colors. So a lot of the embroidery floss I inherited is on these giant rings in a million tiny plastic bags, and I've decided I don't like that, so I flipped through that one and picked out a bunch of colors, including greens for foliage, and we'll see where we go. So apparently using a patch, or at least unfortunate patterned patch, launches us directly into the ugly phase of the artwork or embroidery. So I have faith that it will come around, it will get better, but right now, got bored. Didn't want the butterfly to be the only bit of embroidery on the skirt. That would be weird, right? So, grabbed another color, the green, and just experimenting, honestly. And it looks like an experiment, but also it feels like I'm onto something. And of course the dusty purple goes between the desaturated pink and the dusty blue, I guess. And oh, didn't want it just there. There. And yeah, just trying to blur the edges a little bit, and with the light on and zoomed in you can see the pattern underneath, but you can't just without the help. Almost forgot, but the butterfly does need a body, doesn't it? Also, it's considerably stiffer than the surrounding fabric, which is entirely due to the stitches, the embroidery floss, because it is definitely not due to the very, very thin fabric underneath. So, we'll just see how that looks here in a minute. Alright. Child, wiggle the skirt back and forth. Alright, it doesn't really affect the flow. It's very pleasant. And now we have a theme for future patches, and that's nice. And finally, I had an altercation with a tree and ripped a hole in my work flannel. And so, just like in video 98, I added a hood and pockets and patches, and this one had a lot of holes in it. So, that's a used up piece of flannel and a much less breezy shirt. And we are happy with this, and now we are on to other things. I do not know how it is for you, but for me, everything just gets exponentially harder the moment it gets cold. And I'd finished this video. I know I had. I couldn't edit it yet because computer issues, but I'd moved on to the next one. It was going to be upcycling, right? And so the first project went alarmingly smoothly. Too smoothly to justify a video, really. It was one of those onesies, but overall type onesies with the drop crotch, and I don't wear that, so I cut the top off even, added elastic at the waist, elastic at the ankles, and I have a new pair of pants, which is awesome. And the next one was gonna be a faux wrap dress turned to a shirt, and I can see it in my head, but I cannot figure out how to make it happen, so I set it aside. And the next one was going to be patchworking over a knit cardigan, and that one was going really well, and then, hey, stop that. There's a knot. And then out of nowhere, it just felt stupid and wrong, and so I've set it aside, and in a few weeks I'll like it again, and I'll be able to finish it. So now here I am, back working on, is it mending? I don't even know anymore. Anyway, I found a fake pashmina at the secondhand shop and added a hood and made the sleeves longer because the sleeves were kind of short, and some patchworking, and that looks great. And then I noticed that this piece, because I leave it on the back of my kitchen chair all winter, my hand had rubbed all the dye off the top of the right shoulder. And I very impulsively grabbed a red that is just a shade cooler than it's supposed to be, but as dark as it's supposed to be, as dark as the fabric elsewhere is. And I just started stitching, mindlessly following the existing pattern, and really it is lovely and relaxing, and I love the resulting texture. Now I have no idea what I'm going to do about the edges of this. I think I'm just going to stop when I run out of thread and not worry about it. But isn't that pretty? Trying to figure out what the next video is. Hopefully I will by the time I run out of thread. Let's try that upcycling idea again, huh? So, found something at the Goodwill bins that actually fits. I need these armholes bigger. These are probably the correct size, but no. I want sleeves. These pockets they're the first thing to go. Somebody removed a couple of the buttons that I don't know how I feel about them. We'll think about that later. First thing, pockets. And I am officially taking my glasses off to see the stupid little stitches years old. Anyway, so nothing against pockets, obviously, but this is too short for me personally to want to wear as a dress. And so, and I want sleeves. So this becomes a shirt, I guess. If we're keeping these buttons, then this one moves up to here. And if I cut the shirt off around second button, which should cover the waistband on any pants, then I can put another button up here. Just because there's supposed to be one, because there's a buttonhole. Is that where we want to cut it off? And the pockets, once the elastic is removed, are plenty big enough to get us started on sleeviness. Maybe we could get long sleeves. Big billowy ones. Here's the buttons in question. They're odd. Yeah, let's go with these ones. Not just yet, because they're fragile, so they'll be the last thing. And they're smaller, but I think it'll be okay. Cross your fingers with me. So, I cut the thing off, and I hemmed it, and I'm also doing what I'm sure is a big no-no, and sewing down the facing, because I don't like having to pet it smooth every time I put this thing on. That's what facings always do, I think. Is that what facings always do? I don't know. But it's vexing. So, tiny visible stitches, but I can live with that. So the chunk we just cut off the bottom was even more strangely shaped than I expected when I was trying it on. But after flopping it around a bunch of times, I think this is the layout that will get us the most sleeve. If I just put this on top and cut a slightly bigger curve here, we'll just roll with the shape that we have and see how that goes. Not sure about this at all. I think this will give me some wiggle room, but let's find out together if that worked. I am going ahead and French seaming the sleeves in place, which I might regret, but I am leaving the bottom open because I figure that gives me a little bit of wiggle room. And oh, there's something cool actually, because sleeves aren't usually quite so many pieces, right? But look, I almost lined that up, but facing the correct direction. That makes me happy. Haven't sewed this sleeve on yet, but I had a thought, and this is the pocket. There were two of them, and then they were like cargo pockets or something, so I freed that seam up, and now, yeah, I think with just a little bit of trimming, the pockets can become the sleeves, and maybe, okay, these three were each attached via elastic. Well, it is definitely not meant to go over a house dress, but I think we're onto something here. Oh, whoa, yeah, definitely onto something. Plenty of fabric, rock on. And nope, changed my mind. I'm going to lower the arm side, the bottom of the arm side, the armpit on each side just a little bit, and then take advantage of the stupid sleeve shape to, connect the sleeve just a little bit lower. And then I'm going to cut the curve off the bottom of the sleeve. I decided I don't like that. Not really a surprise. And then we'll be good. Also, I think earlier I may have said French seam. That was a lie. I don't know why I said that. I've never done a French seam, I don't think. Maybe. Either way, just like a enclosed, do not let the textures touch my skin seam, like always. So, just one seam to undo and a plan. Yay, plan. I lied again. I'm just going to be putting those elastics back exactly where I cut them off from. How vexing. Remember how much overlap there was between these two pieces? I did not cut any off. Apparently sleeves need to be monstrously long in order not to pull up when you move your arms around. Also, I don't think I love the sleeves I got. I wore it to a party. I got a lot of compliments. But I don't think I love them, but I don't know what I want to do with them. So we're going to put this in the done pile, and if inspiration strikes, we will revisit. Which means now I can film a reveal wearing this and the pants I told you about that used to be overalls. And then we can move on with our lives, which is awesome, right? Look, there's elastic. Boogie, woogie, woogie, woog.
Glad someone's warm.
Alright, we good?
Yeah.